Hi, everybody. I'm Laura with Kansas City Mom Collective, and we're so excited that the snow is finally here. And today we are talking with our favorite ER doctor, Dr. Gabriel Schifman from the Pediatric ER at Overland Park Regional Medical Center. He is going to give us some tips to avoid the ER on a snow day so you and your kids can have fun enjoying the weather we've been waiting for. Dr. Schifman, talk with us about some tips to stay safe when our kids are outside enjoying the snow, the cold temperatures, sledding, all those things.
Absolutely. So we were excited. I think it's great always when we have snow days and when the kids are out having fun. It's very important to keep them warm, and that's the most important thing, warm and dry. And so the most important thing that we always say is layers is the best, because when you start out, you're not doing all that activity and you may be a little bit colder initially, but as you get working and playing and building those forts and the snowmen, you build up a little bit of a sweat, and so you may want to take some of those layers off. So starting with a good fundamental layer of long underwear, thermal, so long pants, and then a long sleeve thermal underlayer. If that has a turtleneck, that's even better. Then you can have multiple t-shirts over top of that, and those can come off if you need to. And then a coat. The coat always stays on regardless of how many layers you have, because the coat is your kind of your barrier from the wet as well. Mittens, gloves, all those things are important because you don't want to get your fingers cold. Scarves, hats, and earmuffs all prevent all that heat from escaping, so that's important too. And then don't forget about our toes. So warm socks, those can be wool or synthetics, but also you really want to have boots or shoes that are waterproof, because getting snow into your shoes and having that just ruins the day quickly. So keeping dry, keeping warm is the most important thing, and layers will get all that done.
I love how we spend all this time getting them dressed, and then they really last like what, 20 minutes? I mean,
Yeah,
spend
or
like
they have to
hours trying to
pee.
find all this stuff.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so
So,
what if they go
yeah.
outside and get like what are the signs of frostbite? How do we treat that? Let's talk about that.
So frostbite is it's an end stage. So we really want to hopefully address issues before we get to that point. So listening to your body, knowing when your kid is fatigued, if they're tired, if they're complaining, if they're cold. Listen to your child, listen to yourself. If they're having chattering of their teeth, if they're shivering, those are all signs that your body has had enough cold exposure and it's time to go back inside. Frostbite is when they have exposure to the cold, whether it be ice, snow, or the elements itself, and it can kill the skin and kill the nerves on your body. So it kind of has like almost like a hurt feeling, like a burning or a hurting sensation to the skin. Usually we see it on the distal aspects, so fingers, toes, nose, but it can be anywhere that you have cold exposure. The skin can kind of look different too. It's almost like a glossy sheen to it. But again, these are way late stages. We hope that
Okay.
this never happens to your kids, that you should recognize signs before then.
Okay.
Go inside with frostbite. There's always kind of the thought that you go in and you put them under hot water to kind of help relieve that cold. That's not a good idea. That's too much of a shock to the system. So either like a very, very like tepid water, I don't want to say cold water is still fine because the cold is above freezing. So even cold water is fine. Holding the affected area, like your fingertips on your armpit or on your stomach or between your legs, that also can help kind of warm up the body parts too. But don't put your body that is super cold and super hot, because it's too much of a shock to the system. It can cause more damage.
Okay. What about dehydration? We worry about that in the summer, but is that something that can also happen in the winter when kids are playing so long outside?
Absolutely. So we require water all year round, whether you're hot or cold. We lose a lot of heat through our head and through our face and our neck. So keeping those areas covered is important to reduce that insatiable loss, but also with breathing. So when we see all that fog from our mouth, that's all water vapors. That's all water that we breathe out every day. We can't actually see it in the summer, but we're always breathing out water. So we're fortunate that we can see it in the winter. So we definitely have to replace that. So staying hydrated, taking breaks, after we go down the sledding hill a couple of times, take a break. Water is the most important thing to just keep us hydrated in the whole process. But you're 100% correct. Just because it's cold outside, you still need water just as much as you do in the winter.
Okay. And what about like time frame or wind chill? Is there anything we should like pay attention to where we shouldn't be sending our kids out, or they've been out too long? Kind of help
It
us gauge that.
I mean, it's up to every parent. I mean, I wouldn't limit them, you know, completely. I think it's more listening to your kids and how they feel. And if you want to be a good barometer, you can go out there as well with them. You have to get off your gear on. I know it's like you have to get your gear on too, but still, I prefer waiting at home and having the hot cocoa ready when they get in. But so if you are feeling cold, if you tell your kids, if you're feeling cold and you're feeling that, this is too much, take a break. It's better to come in before it's too late, rest up, come by the fire, have some hot cocoa, then go back out again. So I mean, yes, the colder it is, the higher the wind chill or the lower the wind chill. Yes, that'll make the kids fatigue and get cold faster. But a certain number, I think in Kansas City, probably not a certain number that I would say perhaps, but I think listening to your kids' bodies and listening to yourself, and when you're ready to take a break, then do take a break. Don't push yourself past it.
Okay. Are there any sledding tips you tell your kids to avoid, like make sure we don't hit our heads or things
Uh,
like that?
I'm the bad. I'm going to be the bad guy here. I hate sledding. I think it's horrible. As a dad and as an ER doctor, I just can't stand it. But I think when I was a kid, I loved it. Suicide Hill was like my go-to. But it's just there's so many risks that are involved. I mean, you're putting your body at a very fast rate on a slick surface on ice. And so losing control on the sled is one thing. Hitting other kids on the hill is a whole other thing. We see tons of injuries every year from kids being hit by other sledders because they're walking up the hill and the sled's coming down and just taking their legs out from underneath them. So I mean, it's within caution. Like we all choose what we, need to do for our kids, and just be cautious. I mean, there's just so many risks out there with sledding. I think a less steep hill would be great. A not as crowded hill would be great. And obviously, stay bundled up and protected the best you can. But sledding is rough from an ER standpoint.
Right. Understood.
Lots of broken things, cut things, a lot of things.
Okay. Well, moms, we hope you guys have a wonderful snow day. But if you do end up having an unfortunate incident, Dr. Gabe Schifman will be there for you. The pediatric experts at HCA Midwest Health are ready to care for your kiddos this winter. Learn more about the pediatric ER department at hcamidwest.com/pediatrics. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Of course.